In 2014, 16 and 17-year-olds were able to vote in a Scottish independence referendum. The change to the franchise was only temporary, but it reignited debate on lowering voting age in the UK elections. The Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party all support lowering the voting age to 16. Behind me, you can see the House of Parliament, where all the big decisions are being made, the heart of British politics. But how can someone who's not a member of Parliament, who's under the voting age, who's still old enough to pay taxes, how can they have say in their own future?
My name is Tiina, and I am looking into why 16 and 17-year-olds cannot vote in the UK. My understanding so far is that there isn't very much hope for people of this age who want to have their say in elections and referendums. I was curious to find out how someone of this age who's interested and engaged in politics feels about the issue. Kirsty Stage, a member of Youth Parliament and a keen martial artist, is preparing for a new kind of fight as she sets out to lower the voting age. I met with Kirsty in Teffon, a rural village in Wiltshire, to talk politics.
Everything you do in life revolves around politics. We need votes at 16, and I think it's important because actually it will inspire and engage young people, and if we can do that now, then it will be the fundamental seed for future generations. Is our society really democratic if it's not incorporating everyone? And effectively, is that ageism in politics? And I think if we're encouraging turnouts, then more people can have a say, and I think that's really important for our society, because the more different perspectives and opinions will actually create a more kind of tolerant, more open-minded society, and
definitely.
I think that's a really good thing. Definitely.
Whilst I was in London, I met with Josiah Mortimer, who represents the Electoral Reform Society, a group campaigning for the voting age to be lowered.
So what this is about is engaging more young people in our democracy. This generation of 16 and 17-year-olds are the first to receive citizenship education. You know, a lot of them are getting active in terms of petitions, marching on the streets, you know, really engaging as full citizens. But the only thing that they're actually denied is the right to pick a representative in Parliament. So the EU referendum was a massive missed opportunity, I think, when it comes to votes at 16. You know, especially learning, as I say, from the success of the Scottish referendum. You know, we had 1.5 million young people denied the right to have a say over this process, and I think, you know, a lot of young people are angry about that.
Sounds like there's clearly many arguments for lowering the voting age, but I was eager to discover whether there is a psychological answer to whether 16 and 17-year-olds are actually mature enough to vote. I met with Dr. Barry Richards, a political psychology lecturer at Bournemouth University.
It's a difficult question to ask about any individual or any group of people. Is this person mature enough to vote? But there has to be some cut-off point in terms of the age criterion. But I don't think there is a simple psychological answer to it. But you're not old enough to be a fully legal adult until the age of 18. So currently we have a linkage between voting age and the age of majority.
I think that's a main opposition argument for votes at 16. And again, I don't know why we're looking at 16 to 17-year-olds specifically. 16 to 17-year-olds want to be heard, and it's important for them. And I think that will really encourage them and propel them to campaign for it, because it is something that affects them. It's not something which is just specific to the elderly. It is for everyone, but in particular these younger people.
The thing that struck me the most about Kirsty is how, like many other 17-year-olds, she attends college and has a number of typical hobbies, yet she's completely engaged in politics, which makes me think that this generation should definitely have the chance to have their say by voting.
I felt that young people weren't being heard, so I wanted to do something to combat that and to try and be a positive role model for young people. 16 and 17-year-olds have a lot of other opportunities which are really central to their lifestyle, like they're able to get married, to have a civil partnership, to pay national insurance, to join the armed forces, and yet all these things are governed by voting, and yet the fundamental part is abandoned and 16 and 17-year-olds can't vote.
Dr. Richards also admits that many 16 and 17-year-olds are capable of making political decisions.
Every 16-year-old should have the cognitive capacity to be able to weigh up the pros and cons on political issues. At the moment, you can be old enough to pay taxes and have children, but you can't vote. The fact that we have the age of consent and the school leaving age at a lower point is part of the argument for reducing the voting age.
I think this is the next sort of frontier for democratic reform in the UK. We've just seen last year the Scottish Parliament pass votes at 16 for all elections there. There's already votes at 16 in the Isle of Man, in Guernsey, and in different countries across Europe. And I think that really the next step is getting it for Westminster elections. A lot of people see it as an injustice that young people, they can kind of be taxed and represented through MPs in Parliament, but without actually having a kind of say in who those people are. So I think what this really is about letting them become full and active members of our democracy, and I think that's what more and more people are wanting.
Even if one person, lobbies an MP, that's a big difference. So if we all work together and lobby MPs, write letters, campaign all together, I think we can make a big impact. And there's lots of different campaigns going on at the moment, and I think that would be really, really helpful, and it could potentially encourage votes at 16, and I'd hope that it would.
At first, I was quite sceptical about whether 16 and 17-year-olds even had a voice in British politics, yet alone a vote. But after talking to Kirsty, Josiah and Barry, I feel much more positive about the whole situation, as it has made me realise there are people trying to make votes for 16 a reality. I do think we will see this change in near future if more people like Kirsty continue to engage in politics. This generation may not have the vote yet, but they've definitely got hope.
Oh my god, so much pressure.
Coca-Cola bottle, Pepsi glass. I don't give a damn.